Friends, welcome to Ruel's Wrap-Up. I'm Ruel Gaviola, and I'm going to be talking about the 21 games I played in November. Some of them I like more than others, so I'm ranking them Rahdo style, who inspired me to do this. Thank you, Rahdo. So we're going to talk all about these games, and I'll give you a brief overview of each and where I have them on my list. So out of the 21 games I played last month, in November 2021, the first one on the list is Empower Empathy. This was a paid preview that Michelle and I did on our Twitch channel. And as you can see here, it's a pretty straightforward game. It's geared towards younger gamers, and it's simple as far as mechanisms go. As you can see there, you got a spinner, you got some dice or a die, and you're just running around as the superheroes trying to turn all the red streets into gray, because red are bad and gray are, crime-free streets. You do have a baddie there. And they're going to go around and try to stop you. And whenever you land on the baddie or a red square, you're going to flip over one of the City Watch cards. The City Watch cards, this is what's interesting about Empower Empathy. This is a game all about developing emotional awareness for younger students and also younger gamers. And it gives them the tools to talk about emotions, right? So the game is created by educators. I believe a psychologist, PhD. Pardon me if I got that wrong. But as you can see here, one of the things you talk about there on the screen, proud, right? Matt thinks he's bad at math, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to discuss that with the gamers. And, after that, you can pick up power-up cards. Those will help you turn red squares into gray. You're going to go around the board there. And when you get to the end, if you have any red squares left over, you can use those power-ups to turn them gray. Let me talk about the City Watch cards real quick. Those each show a different situation. You're going to have the gamers talk about that. And as it's shown on the screen right now, thoughts, feelings, and actions, those are different things that you'll be talking about. So this is more of a tool used to develop emotional awareness. And I think it's a great thing to be out there. Again, it's probably not for the most hardcore gamers, hobby gamers, but as a learning tool and as for some players who are not familiar with modern board games, I think this is a wonderful game to play and to use for those purposes. All right, so that was Empower Empathy. That was our number 21. I'm going to move on to my number 20. It is Endangered. And now this, I was looking forward to this game. I got to admit, I was a little disappointed. It just didn't, I don't know what it was. It didn't really stick with me for whatever reason. And it was a cooperative game. It's got these animal meeples. So you have animal meeples in your game. I'm all over it, right? I'm super excited. It's a gorgeous looking game. Now, I should preface this. So I went to a friend's game night and we were playing this. It was three of us. Was it three? Yeah, it was a 3-player game. It's cooperative. It's some set collection, some dice placement, and I was all over it. Dice placement, I'm excited about. But then we got into this funny situation where the 4th gamer and 5th gamer showed up. So we were like we were about halfway through this, and we just sort of sped through the rest of it. And we just, we weren't. I know I wasn't playing optimally, and neither of the other guys were, because we want to just finish the game to get to something we could play as a group, right? Because you don't want. I think it was the 4th guy that got there, and no one wants to be sitting there watching the game. So we're like, okay, let's just rush through this, and we finished it, and then we end up, we moved on to, I think it was Cascadia or something like that, where we could play 4 players. So I want to revisit this. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I don't know why it fell flat with me. I probably part of that rushing through it. You have the impact cards here. I'm just going through the photos here on BGG. Let me see. So you are going to use dice. Okay, here's like, wow, is this the one? No, I didn't use a zoologist. I think the player next to me used it. So you do have, asymmetric abilities. You're going to be using those to try to manipulate the animals that you want and to save them. And do they have any pictures of the animal meeples? Those are, no, those are the cubes. The animal meeples are fantastic in this. There's some of them. They're little tigers. But this one I'll be revisiting. My buddy Patrick's the one that has this game, and I know he's a big co-op fan, so we will get back to that one. I want to give it a shot where we can just sit down and probably pay more attention to it. So, okay, number 19. This one was a surprise to me because I actually played this before and I liked it. Finger Guns at High Noon, my number 19. This is a party game. It's basically, it really is pew pew finger guns, right? And what you're trying to do is be the last player standing. And let me share a little thing here. The reason why I was talking about why it surprised me, friends, is I actually had this game and just traded away or whatever. You know, I played it a few times. It was fun. Figured, okay, you know, I've had my fill of it. I will move it on to the next gamer, right? Let someone else enjoy it. And then we played it the other night. My buddy Daryl had some friends over, and he invited me and Michelle to join them. And I was like, this game is fun. This is a blast. So everyone has these little one little card here with your actions. You can either do like a finger gun, or you can do like a rifle, I think is like the arm. There's a finger gun. There's also the posse, where you hold up fingers, and if you match the number of fingers with someone else, then you're safe and everyone else takes damage. There's a lasso, where you can try to get special abilities based on the card that's face up in the middle of the board. It's a lot more fun than I remembered. And one thing that I liked, I thought this was really a nice part of the design. When you die or when you lose all your health, you're not out of the game. You can become a ghost, or you will become a ghost. And you flip that action card over, or your player aid, and then you have ghost actions. So now anyone else that loses all their health, they become a ghost, and you become a team. So you're trying to stop whoever else is trying to win the game. It gets down to the point where I think if one or two players are remaining after a round, then that player or those players will win. If there are no players standing at the end of a round, then the ghosts win. So it's a really fun game. Not always my jam, that these type of party games this type, but this one works for a lot of different reasons. And that's my number 19, Finger Guns at High Noon. I'm gonna hydrate. Okay, let's move on to number 18. And you know what I'm going to do for number 18? Let me see if I can pull this up on my YouTube channel. Resident, no. Okay. Yeah, here it is right here. Okay. My number 18 for the month of November, played this early November, was Resident Evil, the board game. This was also a paid preview. I actually got to hang out with Ross from Steamforged Games. He came over to the studio and we played Resident Evil, the board game. This one went on Kickstarter. They crushed the Kickstarter. It was like was it like a $2 million campaign? Just a ton. They raised a ton of money. And this is a long-running, beloved franchise, Resident Evil. They've actually had a few different versions of a board game out. This is the most recent one. Ross and I played miniatures. It's got this sort of like, if you like Zombicide, that type of dungeon crawl feel to it. Really fun game. As you can see there, we're chucking dice. We're moving around trying to, avoid all the evil, but there's never, if you play the video game, you know exactly what you're running into, monsters and so forth. You have to reload, keep your ammo, keep all the ammo so you can get out of there alive. So fun game. Right, it's not like the type of game I'd usually pull off the shelf, but I love playing these. I'm very fortunate that some of my gaming group loves these games because they'll do the fully painted versions and stuff, and I get to play those cool ones. But Resident Evil, the board game, was my number 18 for the month of November. All right, number 17 is an oldie but a goodie. I'd never played this one, but I want to thank my buddy Daryl for introducing it to me. It is Kariba. Now, not Kariba. That's a different game. Kariba is a totally different game. Kariba is where is Kariba? I'm trying to pull it up on here. Kariba, where are you at? There it is. Kariba. This is a game by the good doctor Reiner Knizia. I'd never heard of this game. There are so many games, and he's published like 600 games or something, some crazy amount. This is one that totally flew under the radar. I never heard of it. It's a light game, hand management and set collection. You are animals down at the watering hole here, and you're trying to collect them. And it's a very simple mechanism, but it works so well where you have a hand of cards randomly chosen. They're numbered 1 through 8. And you're going to play a card, any number, and you may play any number out of your hand as far as like duplicates. So if I had, say, a number 7, maybe I had 2 7s, I could play those just like they show here on the screen. And whenever there's a third number of any of those put out, you're going to collect the number that is a fewer or less than it. Basically, if I had the number sevens there, if I put a third seven, I would collect either the sixes or the fives, whatever's available. And then you just go around there until you collect something. Now, the one exception is the number one. Only the number one can collect the number 8. Okay, so you put a third one down, or you can play 3 ones at a time and collect all number 8s right there. So it's really interesting mechanism where you're trying to play cards. You sort of like play them one at a time until you can set yourself up to like play that third, or you can play all 3 at once if you have them and collect those cards. Now, what you're trying to do is just collect as many cards as you can. At the end of the game, whoever has the most cards, regardless of what number they are, wins the game. It's really fun. It takes like 15 minutes. I swear, this should be like an Oink game because it's with the size of it. It would fit like Deep Sea Adventure. It's got it has those thin cards. It would totally be the perfect Oink game. I don't know why they haven't picked up because this is fantastic. It's got cute art and everything. That's my number 17, Kariba. All right. Let's move on to my number 16 for the month. Again, thank you for joining me. I am ranking the 21 games I played in November last month. And the next game up on my list is number 16, Big Easy Busking. Now, Big Easy Busking, this is from Weird Giraffe Games. And excuse me, I do want to shout out Carla from Weird Giraffe for giving me some copies of their games. And this one I really enjoyed because of the theme. I was so into the whole, hey, musicians busking in New Orleans, the Big Easy, a city I've always wanted to visit, but I haven't had a chance yet. But it's a fun theme. I mean, if you see that, you can look at the art there. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's colorful. It's an area majority game, which is interesting because I don't really think of I think area majority games being better at like higher player counts, right? Because you have more conflict. You're trying to take certain things. I played, if you can see here in the video, I played the solo version. It worked just fine. You do have a solo AI that you're playing against, and you're putting cubes down. Those are the different musicians that you have in your group, and they're going to try to play music to please the crowd. Certain crowds want romantic songs or whatever, or upbeat or party songs. You're trying to match those up, and eventually you're going to move those cubes of influence, or the cubes, onto the different scenes there, and you will collect points based on what the audience wants. And if you had played the type of music they wanted, you'll gain more points, more money, right? And you can also tip your musicians. That helps you, gain. I believe, let's see, when you tip musicians, it gains you extra abilities or extra ways to get more cubes back, because the cubes are basically energy, because it takes energy to play that music, right? And your musicians, you want them to not get tired, so that's when you tip them, and they'll play a little longer, and they have more energy to do that. So that's my number 16, Big Easy Busking. All right. Let's move on to number 15. This one has been ranked on my list a few times. Michelle and I really enjoy this game. It is Super Mega Lucky Box from Phil Walker Harding. Praise be. It's a roll and write game along the lines of Silver and Gold, if you played his other roll and write, where it's pretty straightforward, but this takes away the element in roll and write, or the Silver and Gold, where you had the polyominoes. This does away with it in favor of just straight up comboing. And that's why we love it so much. It's so easy to learn, so easy to teach. And it's basically like gamer bingo. As you can see, Michelle and I, you flip a card, cross out the number, and then if you fill up a line or a column, you're going to get bonuses, whether it's like, more lightning bolts, which allow you to mitigate the change numbers. The moons, which is set collection at the end. Whoever's the most gets bonus. Other players do not. And then you also, if you complete a row or column, you can also get free numbers, which you can mark on other cards. So as you complete cards, you get points based on what round you finish them in. It's a wonderful game. We've played it at least a dozen times. It might even be up there. It might be in the 20s. We played this a lot. We played it with new gamers, casual gamers, played it with our hobby gamer friends. It's wonderful. Highly recommend. That is Super Mega Lucky Box from Phil Walker Harding and Game Right. Going on to number 14. Let's see what we got planned here. Number 14 is another roll and write, a favorite of mine as well. It is Railroad Inc. Now, I have the red edition. I have not played the blue edition or the newer editions as well, yellow and whatever, green I think they also have. But I know I'll like them too because the premise is basically the same. It's a roll and write game where you roll these dice that have, oops, get the video back up here. Oh, that's not it. Oh, that was when I was previewing Resident Evil. Okay, Railroad Inc. You are rolling dice that have railroads and or whoa, what am I doing there? Oh, it's it's funny watching these old videos. You have these special dice with railroads or highways, and you're filling up your city map there. And you play 7 rounds. You roll 4 dice each round, and you must draw each one on your map. You're trying to connect railroads and or highways for points, get them to the edge of the map, and you get points based on how big your network is eventually. You'll get bonus points for other things, such as getting the middle square. You'll lose points for incomplete routes. So it's wonderful. Another game that we played a lot of, and it always goes over well. As you can see here, I did a live run through. It's a game that's really made itself, that makes itself easily playable over Zoom or Skype or online like this. All you need is, one person have the dice, and you can use a graph paper if you want, or your own player board. So that is my number 14, Railroad Inc. All right, I'm going to hydrate. And we're going to move on to my lucky number 13 for the games that I played in the month of November. Number 13, I think it's apropos that we talk about it in December. It is Holly Jolly. Holly Jolly is from Matt Riddle and Ben Pinchback. They've done a lot of great games. The most recent favorite that Michelle and I enjoyed by this pair of designers was Stellar, which was stellar. Oops, this is the wrong game. I'm trying to show Holly Jolly. I'm showing Tiny Towns. Yay. There it is. Holly Jolly right there. Folks, it's December. It's Christmas. It's the holiday season. This is about a Christmas tree, and you're collecting presents and gifts and ornaments. It's awesome. It's wonderful. I probably should have ranked this higher. We really enjoy this game. I can't remember of any really, Christmas or holiday themed games like this that we really enjoyed, and I love this one. Michelle did too. You are just selecting one of the cards in the middle here, or on the side. You're taking an ornament or lights, or not ornament, tinsel or lights. You put it in the middle 3, and then you're going to add up the value. Based on that value, you're going to take one of the ornaments alongside the tree, or you can go to the bottom tree if none of your numbers match, or you're trying to get that star at the top, which is, you have to get like 11 or 12 a total sum, and then you'll take that for, big points. The ornaments are all different types of set collection. You want like similar like soldiers. The Santa will allow you to take a present from under the tree. As you can see here, presents are face up. You can see exactly how many points you get. And then the stockings are face down. So you don't know what's in the stocking. You're just going to grab them. Some of them, actually 2 of them are coal, which are 0 points, which is funny to me. But easy to learn. Again, these type of games Michelle and I love because they are easy to learn, and these are the ones that are going to get to the table a lot, especially during when we have our Christmas celebration. We brought it to Thanksgiving, but unfortunately we didn't get to play it only because instead of games we opted for karaoke that day. So that's my number 13, Holly Jolly, a wonderful card game. Another big recommendation on my part. I really enjoyed it. And then let's go on to number 12, friends. Now this isn't a roll and write, but it feels like a roll and write. And if just based on that description, I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. It is Tiny Towns from AEG. I wanted to show, there it is. Hey, Michelle and I, again, we played this, we streamed this one, a lot of fun. And like a roll and write, all you need is one person to, have the game set up there, and you can follow along. You could, as long as you have your own player board, you can do that. And, you have your special card there, like the Skybath, the Monument. You could, I know people play with graph paper because it's just a 4x4 grid. It's really cool. You're just calling out resources. You just flip one over, like we use a town hall method, which is a deck of cards, which has, the different resources like, you know, glass or brick or whatever. As you can see, I'm turning one over there, and there was a brick. So everyone takes a brick cube, a red cube, puts it anywhere on their town. And when you eventually match the shapes, as you can see there on the different buildings, you may convert it to one of those buildings, and each one scores differently. And what I love about this, each building, there's like 4 or 5 variations of it. So all the games that every game that you play, you could have different combinations. And the monuments as well. Everyone has a private monument when you build it. Some of them give you abilities, some give you points at the end or whatever. Wonderful game. We raved about this a couple of years ago. It's still in our collection. We have all the expansions. We played the Fortune one with gold. We have not played the Trees one. That's like a mini expansion. And there's another one as well. I don't think that we played with. But anyways, Tiny Town. Such a great game. So good. And Peter McPherson is the designer. We still love it, and we will continue to play Tiny Towns in the near future. Okay, let's go on to number 11. I'm going to hydrate real quick. Number 11 is a new to me game. This one came out a couple of years ago, and I'll be honest, it didn't really strike anything. It didn't really do anything for me when I heard about it, but I got to play it recently. Air, Land, and Sea is awesome. It's a 2-player game. I played this with my buddy Daryl. He came over, I think it might have been either after we streamed one time or just some random night. But Air, Land, and Sea is a 2-player hand management game. Now, I probably wasn't into it just because of the theme. It's like, you know, it's a war game, but the gameplay is so good. As you can see here, someone just posted this picture on BGG. You have the different theaters of battle, Air, Land, and Sea. You and your opponent are randomly going to get, I think it's 6 cards. And you're going to play them to the different theaters, but each card has a different ability or something that triggers. And it's really wonderful back and forth. And what's really neat about this is at some point, you're going to have to make the decision to withdraw or to continue fighting. If you withdraw, there's certain times when you want to withdraw because you have a bad hand. And so you're just going to give up that round to your opponent, and they're going to, you know, get victory points. But you're going to limit those victory points because if you give up or withdraw early, they get fewer victory points. If you go deep into battle, if you think you're going to win it, but then you realize you don't, you're going to lose. They're going to get more points. So it's this really neat seesaw effect. Probably takes like 15 to 20 minutes to play. Daryl and I loved it. We really, and Daryl and I, he's my main like gaming partner when it comes to like heavy conflict games. Michelle and I don't play too many games with a lot of conflict, but we do like 2-player games. This one is a winner. Air, Land, and Sea from Arcane Wonders. Loved it. So glad I got to play that one. Shout out to Daryl for learning it with me. Speaking of Daryl, the other, you know, I talked about that Finger Guns at high noon earlier on my list, and there was another game that we played with Daryl and his buddies. This is a classic, a modern classic, I call it. Just One. This is a party game that actually won, I believe, the Spiel des Jahres one year, or one of the awards there. It's a party game, cooperative party games for 3 to 7 players, and it's a word game. Everyone has, the active player is going to randomly choose from their card. They're going to write the number 1 through 5 on their little easel, put it up there. The card is going to say, they'll have 5 words. Say they chose number 4. Everyone else is going to see it except that active player. Everyone else has a little easel. They're going to write 1 word that's going to help this player guess what that 1 word is. Here's the trick, though. This is the best part of it, is when the other players have written all their words down, the active player is going to close their eyes, and then the other players are going to check to see if any of their words match. Because if they do, those words get erased. So it's one of those things you want to give the obvious word because, you know, it would be easy for the player to guess it. But if you're too obvious, then everyone's going to write it, and they all get erased, and now you're just left with like nothing, you know. And you want to give as many clues as possible. It's still a winner. This is a game that you know, Rod and I did the 10 games we'll never get rid of. This is actually one of them for me. But you know, now thankfully a bunch of my friends own it as well. But we played this at family parties with friends during game night. It's always good. It never outstates its welcome. It's like a 15, 20-minute game. Here's the proof of why this is a great game. I don't know if it's proof, but my friend Daryl is not a cooperative game fan. That's just not his jam. This is a cooperative game. He'll play it anytime. He loves it as well. So there's your highest recommendation from a non-fan of cooperative games loves it. All right, so that's my number 10, just one. So we're in the top 10 now, folks, of the 21 games that I played in November. Hydrate a little bit there. Number 9 is another new to me game. I believe this came out last year or maybe the year before. But it is Michelle and I played this for a sponsor stream recently on Tabletop Live Network. It is Mandala Stones from Board and Dice. Mandala Stones is an abstract game through and through. You are trying to collect these stones, as you can see there, just gorgeous production. Michelle and I talked about how these are basically azul-like tiles, but instead of square, they're round. And you're just picking them up. You move the little, I call this the Istanbul artist right here. They're called artists, but it reminds me of the Istanbul little piece that you move around. You move it there. You collect any of the ones that match its pattern. But if there's another artist adjacent, you do not collect it. So it's a lot of tactical planning. It's like, oh, I want to go here. But you can't really think about that move until your opponent's made their move. So once things have changed on the board, now you can start to try to collect those stones. And as you can see there on the player board, each little pile there, you're going to have 5 towers that you're building on your player board. Each tower scores differently. One, you want different colors. The other, you want to be as high as possible. The other, you want to be as low as possible. And the others, the one depends on the other towers in your player board, how tall those are. Oh, it's so good. It's funny because when we played it, Michelle and I, we played our practice game. We're like, ooh, this is going to be good. But then we're all thinking, oh, it could be a little brain burning, right? You got to get deep into it. But what really takes it out of that brain burn is it's like it feels like a game that would go on for hours, honestly. But because of the way they have the mandala track up here in the upper left, as you can see upper left, you're placing those stones that you've cashed in or scored on that track, and that's going to give you bonus points. And once you hit certain things, oh hey, we celebrate our first birthday, TLN, Tabletop Live Network. I'm going to drop the link in chat. Y'all on YouTube, you don't know what I'm doing. We are recording this live on Twitch right now. So Tabletop Live Network is a monthly live event, 24 hours straight of board game streams over on Twitch. Brothers Murph and I coordinated. Would love to have y'all check it out sometime. What we're going to get back to, though, right now is Mandala Stones. Here, Michelle's doing some cleanup here. We played this twice. Hey, there's our buddy Mozart. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get back to the game. You collect these stones, you cash them in. As I'm talking about the mandala, when you go around the mandala thing here, this board here a couple of times, you're going to eventually, there's a certain spot for player counts where you're going to end the game, and then that's when you tally up points. So it really doesn't outstay its welcome, which I was afraid of. It actually plays a lot quicker than I thought as well. It's 30 minutes, but it is a rock solid 30 minutes of brain burning decisions, and that's Mandala Stones from Board and Dice, a paid run through of that game. Let's move on to my number 8, a favorite of mine from last year, but it only came out this year. And what I'm talking about is Rolling Realms. Rolling Realms, as if you know the story, Jamie Stegmaier came up with this during the pandemic when we first went into lockdown. It was a roll and write game that he wanted to do where everyone can play from the comfort of their homes, and he did a wonderful job. And it was so great, and everyone loved it so much that he decided to produce a actual version of it, analog version of it for Stonemaier. And I got to play with this game with Rahdo on the very first RVR show. So we usually do R, right? Ruel and Rahdo. This time it's Ruel versus Rahdo. Thanks to our Twitch followers and subscribers, certain goals that we meet, we unlock special episodes like this one where we play a game against each other, and players got to play along too, which is great because all you need, as you can see there, Rahdo, with those big chunky dice, you roll those and you just mark it on your player board. There are a bunch of different player boards, all based on games in the Stonemaier world. As you can see there, we're playing Viticulture, Wingspan, and Scythe. It's very combo-y. If you played Ganshan's Clever, it's very similar to that as far as, you want to mark stuff off and try to unlock certain things so you can combo. Really fun. I will always have this game in my collection as well. This one, it works incredibly well. Some of the when you're first playing it, and Rod and I came across this as well. Some of the rules are a little bit like, I'm not really sure if I can do this or not. But you know, you go to the rule book, it's pretty clear cut. But there's just some of those cases where it's like, okay, I'm not really sure if I can do this. But then you reread the rules, and it's like, okay, they are clear enough to like, okay, yeah, I know what I'm doing now. So that is Rolling Realms. I want to solo this again because I really enjoy this game. We're going to be playing this hopefully, or I'm going to solo it hopefully early next week, or maybe at the end of this week. Well, or wait, the end of the week's tomorrow already. Oh my gosh. Hopefully early next week play. As you can see there, Rahdo's got the little sheet there with the pumpkins, hearts, and coins. Those are the ones that give you the extra abilities, which make that game a lot of fun. All right, so that was Rolling Realms. Again, thank you for joining me today. These are the 21 games I've played in November. I'm ranking them in order of, you know, some games I enjoyed more, some I didn't enjoy as much. But moving on to my number 7, Canopy from Tim Eisner and, oops, I pressed the wrong button. I believe it, yeah. Tim Eisner and Weird City Games. Canopy, I played with my buddy Daryl. It's a 2-player game, but it can be played solo and up to 4 players. I believe the prototype was originally a 2-player game, and then for the Kickstarter, they added multiplayer game and also the solo mode and multiplayer game. Canopy is wonderful. It's beautiful on the table, got great table presence. You're building a rainforest. It is this really cool mechanism. It's got a little bit of push your luck along with the set collection. Let me see if I can pull up a picture here. These are all the nice fancy photos. I want to see if there's anything gameplay. Here you go. So these are someone's forest. You can see you're adding trunks or tree parts to your trunks and going up, and finally the canopy will close up your tree or end that building there. And you can collect animals or plants. Those score all differently. Set collection. Where is a picture? Good picture of. Oh, these are great photos. I'm trying to find something with gameplay. Is this it? No. Maybe this one. Let's see. I love some of the art. Here's some gameplay. Okay. No, that's not gameplay. It's all set up. Darn it. So anyways, the part that I really enjoy the most is this push your luck element where there are 3 stacks of cards. You cannot see them. You're going to look at one. At that point, you may take that and then put it on your tableau, or you can put it back face down without showing your opponent, and then you add a card from the deck and go to the next pile. You do the same thing next pile. You either take it on your tableau or you move forward and, you know, add another card, put it face down, go to the next one. It's a really neat way because a really neat way of doing this. And that's the thing I really love about this game the most and why it's ranked so highly, because you have that decision every round. You're like, oh, I know what's in this pile, but I want something else for my forest, but I'm giving this up to my opponent, the opportunity to get that. So sometimes there's a little denial drafting. I know Daryl and I did it to each other. It's like, I knew he needed this animal or this plant. I was like, oh, I don't really need it, but at the same time, I don't want him to have it. And he did the same thing to me. It's wonderful. A really, really solid game. This one I want to play. I haven't played with Michelle yet. I'm looking forward to teaching her this game because I know she'll like it. And she actually saw it. I think she watched part of the live stream. She was like, oh, this game looks beautiful. And it is. You can see there, just a gorgeous production. Want a special note, Tim, I thought it was a really cool thing that Tim did in this team over there at Weird City Games, where there was no plastic included in the game. It was all like, instead of, you know, wrapped in plastic, it was wrapped in paper. And even the cards, you know how card decks will come wrapped in plastic? They just had like a thin paper band around it. Really, really cool to see them, you know, putting their money where their mouth is, right? As far as, you know, sustainability and stuff. So shout out to Tim and his team. Canopy's my number 7 game played during the month of November. All right. My number 6 game is a game that I've played last month as well as this month. And was it the month before? No. Michelle and I play this game a lot because we really, really enjoy it. It is a winner in all sense of the words. And it's another one from AEG, who I've been saying this for many, many, many months now, maybe even years. They've been knocking it out of the park with the designs. My number 7 is, oh, let me see if I can pull it up here on screen. I don't know if I can. Oh, there it is. Yeah, my number 7 is Whirling Witchcraft. Whirling Witchcraft, friends, is it's a game, you know, it's got the whole like Halloween theme-ish thing going on, but I think you play it any time of the year. It's wonderful. It's an engine building game. It's so fast, and the best way to describe it, this was the way they told me at Gen Con. This is the way I described it to all my friends. It's basically that classic I Love Lucy episode in game form, right? You're building your engine by basically creating these, finishing these recipes with all the ingredients. You put them into the cauldron. You pass the cauldron over to your opponent. If they place it on the ingredients on their workbench, if they can't fit them, you score points. So you're basically trying to overwhelm your opponents. You know, every recipe that you create that's going to pump out ingredients. So those are the ones that go in your cauldron, and those are the ones that you pass over eventually. And it's fun to see because you're building your engine and you're creating all these ingredients, but at the same time, you're trying to get those ingredients off your workbench so you have space when your opponents give you their ingredients. Fun game. Plays in another one of those quick games. No more than 30 minutes at full player count, which I think is 5. I played it at 2, 3, and 4, I believe. Great time. It's a winner. Whirling Witchcraft from AEG. That's my number 6, played in November. All right, let's move on. Number 5. We've got our top 5 now, friends. These are the games that I was most impressed with. I mean, I like to think I'm a nice guy, and I like all games. I'm an omni gamer, but these 5 were the cream of the crop for November. The first one is Parks. Oh boy, I had not played this game until Gen Con. When I was out in actually right before Gen Con, I was in St. Louis. Got to hang out with my friend Lydia. Shout out to Lydia if she's out there. And we went to Miniature Market, and she showed me Miniature Market. That's her local gaming store, which lucky her. They have a huge library that you can play games all day there at Miniature Market. It just costs $5. You could bring in your own food. You can order food, all this cool stuff. And we got to play Parks because it was in the library. Neither of us had ever played it. We learned it right then and there. And boy, it is so good. Beautiful art. Very simple gameplay. I won't even call it simple. I'll say it easy gameplay, streamlined gameplay. You're walking along the different trails there, trying to visit national parks. If you played Trails, which is the smaller version of this, it's very similar, but it's got a few more things going on. You can, as you can see there, you're going to walk along those cards there. You're going to collect resources. Eventually, you want to collect enough resources to either get some additional gear, which will give you abilities, or visit those parks, which give you the points. And set collection and resource management, God, it's so good. The game is just absolutely gorgeous as well. The art, they're done by different artists for the national parks here in the US, and oh boy, I can just like stare at this game. There are some of the special cards there. You can also take photos, which give you things. There's the meeples as well. Oh, so good. And I was so happy that I got to play it with Lydia, because I knew after we learned it, I was like, okay, now I've got to play it with Michelle. I know Michelle would like this. And sure enough, we played Parks. It's a hit, folks. My number 5, Parks from Keymaster Games. All right. So my number 4, so I sort of cheated here as far as what game was going to go on here. But my number 4 is Parks Nightfall. So I just told you the story about playing Parks with my friend, and then coming home, I got a copy thanks to Keymaster Games. They gave me the base game, the expansion, and the beautiful playmat, and played with Michelle, and we loved it. And I said, hey, why don't we play the expansion on a live stream? And she said, oh yeah, and she was like, yeah, she was definitely down for that. The expansion makes everything better about Parks. Here's our run through. You can see there, you add a couple of different things there. You add the campfire spot, or the camping spot. So you can see the little tents on the boards. That's in the expansion. You go to those spots, now you have an option. Do you take that action as normal and those resources, or do you go down below? You can see it at the bottom of the screen there, or I just touched it there, where you can take additional actions that may or may not help you, achieve the goals that you want to do. Also, there was one problem about the base game that a lot of people talked about, and I saw this as well. the end game scoring cards, the year cards, they weren't always that great. Like you do all this work for like 2 points or 3 points, and it wasn't always possible. This one totally takes out that deck, replaces it with a new one, which works so much better. They have goals that you can multiply, you can do multiple times. So it's not like, hey, if you collect a bunch of these, you only get like 2 points. No, now you can do it multiple times for like a few more points than that. It also adds it adds the tents or the campfire or camping spots. It gives you on the parks themselves. When you now visit the parks, there are a bunch of them, and you can see there, Michelle just flipped one over, or I did. Instant actions. So the second that you visit those parks, not when you reserve them, but when you visit them, they're going to give you an additional action. It just opens up the game so much more, and now it feels complete to me. This is just a wonderful game. Again, Parks Nightfall expansion, love that so much. And I think the reason why we loved it so much, we're big fans of Tokaido. This has to me, it has a very similar feeling. You're just going along the path, like in Tokaido. Tokaido's strict set collection. This one's got a little more resource management to it, and it's just very pleasant. It's not a heavy conflict game, but there are times because you can't visit the same spots as your fellow players. There's times when you sort of feel blocked, right? Thankfully, there's ways to get around the block by using your canteen. You can go to similar spots. And then now with the expansion, you have those campsites you can go to as well, which I think really, really makes this game A+. I mean, it was an A before, now it's an A+. So that's Parks Nightfall. So we had Parks at number 5, Parks Nightfall at number 4. I swear this is not going to be Trails. The next one's not going to be Trails. But my number 3, I mean, if you've been watching anything we've been doing recently, you all know this is a huge favorite of ours. It is Cascadia. One of my top 5 games of this year, easily. And we played it over a dozen times. I want to say even more. I'm not even sure how many times we played it. But Cascadia is a winner, chicken dinner. This one here, this is one I played solo. This is a solo challenge. In our Discord channel, our friends Legends and James put up a solo challenge number 1 for Cascadia, and this is my live run through of that. Oh, so good. Tile placement, and it's like got that whole dual tile placement thing. You place a tile, but you're also placing the wildlife, and the wildlife score differently. The habitats on the terrain, score as long as you can get them connected. You score one of your largest contiguous areas. The wildlife, they all score differently based on how they're either connected or not connected. And just a wonderful game by Randy Flynn and AEG. We just talked about how AEG is knocking it out of the park. Flat Out Games, they partner with them. They're releasing all their games. Calico, Cascadia, Verdant, it will be the next one, but Cascadia, it could be my number 1 every month this year. It's just fantastic. Absolutely love it. Okay, number 2 on my list of games that I played last month. Again, I'm ranking all my 21 games, folks. Number 2. This one totally caught me off guard. Michelle and I, we thought it'd be cool, but I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I absolutely loved it. Dice Miner. Want to shout out to our friend Slivers, just a wonderful person, so supportive of the board game community on Twitch and elsewhere online. He sent us over a copy of Dice Miner just because he's such a nice guy, and we loved it. I thought it'd be cool, but it's just so much fun. I love drafting dice, and I love this. The way they did it in this game is so clever, right? You can see here, Michelle and I were playing this, our live stream we did. You're just grabbing dice from the mountain and collecting different sets. Now, the ones that are just regular 6-sided, you want the runs, like like a run of like 1 through 6 if you can, and you get points based on that. But then there's other dice that I think is the dragons and the cave-ins. Those are negative points. But if you have a pickaxe or a shield, they turn in positive points. You also have the gems, which are just straight points. But whoever has the most gems will get the score double their points. The magic stones that you collect, the magic dice, those allow you to re-roll in a certain phase, and you can re-roll those and try to collect the sets you want. And finally, every die has a beer on it. And this is the fun part. It's got a little bit of take that, but it's always a fun take that. if you have a beer on, you can spend the beer and you roll it, you say cheers, give it to another player, and that player must take that, whatever it ends up as. It could also end up as another beer, but they'll add it to theirs, and then you get to collect 2 dice off the mountain. Now, normally you can only take dice off the, off the top of the mountain, and let me back up the video here. So you can see here the top. So they can't have any dice surrounding it. You can't like just pull it out. But when you have when you use the beer, the cheers option, that's when you can start pulling dice from in between other dice. It's a really cool mechanism. And what's surprising is this game, you play 3 rounds, you got this mountain load of dice. You figure, oh, it's going to take a little while. No, Michelle and I played this game in 20 minutes. So we streamed it. We messed up a few of the rules, but then we off stream was like, we do want to play it again. So yeah. And Michelle and I played it 3 straight times. We had so much fun. She loved it. I loved it. Each game was like 15 to 20 minutes. So that's why it was my number 2 game of the month, Dice Miner. Again, shout out to our friend Slivers for the copy. Thank you, friend. Much appreciated. And I just want to let you know it's getting a ton of play and we're really enjoying it. Okay. So that's so far 20 of the 21 games I've played this month. Again, we're ranking them, or I rank them every month here on Tabletop Tonight. If you don't know, if you're just joining me for the first time, over on my Twitch channel, I play games several times a week, sometimes by myself, sometimes with my wife, Michelle, and sometimes with friends. And also our daughter, Lauren, will join us every now and then when she's not busy with work. But this is going to be my number 1 of the month right now. And if you know me, I said this before, if you know me, it's not a surprise, but my number 1 game of the month was, it's an expansion. You have any idea? Twilight Imperium Prophecy of Kings. How could this not be my number 1 and my all-time favorite game? And I got to play the expansion for the first time. It is a beast, folks. It makes, again, if it's not for everyone, it's Twilight Imperium. It's an all-day event. It takes you all day to play. The Prophecy of Kings, it's the expansion that actually takes a bunch of the stuff from the 3rd edition that they took out to streamline 4th edition, and they re-add it back in, but in a better format, right? I've never played 3rd edition, but from what I've heard from my buddies that are experienced Twilight Imperium players, they say that the stuff that they add back in have been streamlined, and so good. And the funny thing is, like, even though it's streamlined and all that, and people say, oh, it actually could play faster. I don't think it plays faster. I think it's, in fact, the one game I played of it, when I played, it actually took us 6 players. It can play up to 8 now with the expansion. 6 players, 12 hours. So this is not a game. This is not something, oh, let's just play a quick game. No, you plan for this. It took us like weeks to get a date for this. I got to play, our buddy Ross, talking about from Steve Forge. He set it up, played with Becca Scott, Jake Michaels, Raina and Phil from Ornament War Games. There's the table right there. It is a beast of a game. And you can't, for me, my brain was fried afterwards. And I just said, this is probably the last time I play this for this year. Maybe next year if I can, after I recuperate. Oh, it's so good, though. Everything about it. It's a 4X game, and it's a space opera in a box. I love everything about it. It is not for everyone. It is a 4X game. You've got dice rolls for combat. You got a tech tree that you're trying to improve all your tech. It's a heavy conflict game, but there's ways around that conflict as well. You can win without having to go into combat. But the way we play, and there's a ton of combat. It depends on the faction that you play. It can be combat heavy. I've been in games where the winner got in no combat. I've been in games where the winner did nothing but combat. I've won a game where I think I went into 1 combat. I've won another game where I did a bunch, and it just depends on the faction you play, the players you play, everything about it. I recommend, now I recommend playing the base game, 4th edition, at least once if you're a gamer. I think it's such a unique experience. You'll never experience it ever again. That being said, you have to know what you're getting into. Now, for Twilight Imperium veterans, highly recommend Prophecy Kings. It makes everything about the game. I think it basically re-adds the 4th X, right? So they totally, for the 4th edition, they sort of smoothed out. They took out a lot of the exploration just for time constraint, I guess, and they just want to make it easier. They re-add the Explorer in this, and I really, really liked it. It gave you chances to collect sets of stuff for like, you know, victory points, which is huge. Also gave you a chance to just get some cool tech and stuff and give you free tech. So good. But yeah, one of these days I'll get back to it eventually. But I played it earlier this month, or in November. It was, you know, about a weekend, and it was just, I'm gonna need time to recover. But anyways, friends, those were my top 21 games, or the 21 games I played in November. I ranked them from 21 to 1. You saw my number 1. You saw all of them. Thank you so much for joining me. And I appreciate y'all stopping by my YouTube channel, and we'll see you later. Bye.